Hello guys, welcome back to Wicked-Whiskers. In today's episode I'm doing sort of Clone Wars comparison between two Chinese razors. First one, Yaki Open Comb, Vostok, 0.70 millimeters blade gap. As you can see, it is clone of Razorock Lupo. That will be the first one. The second, already known to this channel, it's a DS Cosmetics S9, which by the head design and everything resembles the Razorock's Gamechanger. So, both of the razors will be filled with Perma-Sharp blades, which I unwrapped prior to this video. So, first things first. Loaded, no plastic washers in each of them, so let's inspect the blade gap. Nothing too severe, nothing too scary. Basically, pretty flat blade position, but let me show you with something sharp. The blade clamping is performed at the very end of the top cap, so by the clamping position I would say that this is very similar to Hansen AL13. When it comes to Lupo or Vostok, however you want to call it, my preference is the blade tabs which are positioned on the top cap. So once you place the razor blade, it stays in here. So little bit more convenient for loading. Neither one of these razors has blade overhang on the sides, so pretty nice and smooth. This one, like said, 0.70 blade gap. This one has 0.84, so pretty neglectable. If I try to align them top to top, as you can see, I would say that blade gaps are pretty similar, with only difference that Vostok is a little bit torquing the blade a little bit more. And also the combs are having like a little bit more tuned down position compared with the safety bar of the DS-S9. So if you're looking for Razorock Lupo, Gamechanger, or some cheap available options, you will see how they compare with each other. Should be pretty similar, but let's see. For the shaving soap, Proraso Green, little bit of menthol and eucalyptus for the summertime, well-known Razorock's silver tip synthetic brush. And let's start loading it. So I would say that this would be pretty sufficient. So let's start with mustache and goatee area, where my beard is the most difficult to shave. Out of all three soaps from Proraso which I have, sometimes the Proraso Green tends to be a little bit more difficult for me to achieve that perfect lathering. Maybe because it really needs a relaxed brush, something which does not take too much water and has very breathable bristles. So I have feeling like I'm hitting the spot this time with silver tip brush from Razorock, because it is very nice, very soft, a nice build, everything is perfectly made, performing wonderful with all sort of soaps and creams. but it doesn't have that rich fullness like DS Cosmetics or Yaki brushes, so you don't necessarily need to go with very bulky, dense, fluffy brushes. It's all about how the lather is whipped with the water, how breathable the brush is, and lately, but not less important, how well the lather will be released from the brush. So, since I have only like 2 days of a beard growth, I don't need that heavy lathering, so let's start with a razor comparison. Right, first razor will be DS S9, used on the right portion of my face. It is, from the first stroke, pretty loud. You have that frisky sound of whiskers being cut, so almost as you sense that there is pretty much of a blade exposure, like a lot of chattering, a lot of blade protrusion, which is available for the skin contact. So with DSS9 or the Gamechanger, I have the feel like there is very little things hidden from you, and just like that the first pass is pretty nice, pretty clean. I would say about almost 90% of BBS, so pretty nice and efficient pass. Yaki Vostok with 0.70 blade gap is different concept. It is open comb, but very tucked, very nice. The sound is pretty concealed, very comfortable. Working pretty nice, but not truly open comb as I'm used to, because my favorite open combs are one which they have a blade laying down on the teeth of the open comb. This one has sort of flying blade, like floating in the mid-air, but nevertheless I would say, yeah, equally efficient. On the rinsing part, of course, open combs will be much easier to rinse, but as you can see, the blade is like a little bit floating, so while it's in my hand, let's continue with mustache area. So this is not only to compare two razors one with another, but also to show the differences in razor head designs, like open comb versus safety bar. I'll rinse them afterwards, so what a difference in sound. So, for the first pass, To be quite honest, I don't know which one to like more, because it really feels a little bit different. Like you have a safety bar which sort of flattens your skin, but also it's not a very inefficient safety bar razor, so it is working pretty nice. You heard it, it's pretty loud. On the other hand, there is open comb, which really glides pretty nice, so I would say that the only difference could be on actual amount of whiskers which you want to shave per one pass, but to be honest, there is not so much differences compared in head design, open comb, close bar, large blade gap, smaller blade gap. All of these two are pretty similar. And that wise, I won't be needing too much of a cleanup, but this second pass will serve mostly just to showcase how these two razors compare on bare skin, where you just want to perform some minor touch-up. And I must say that this time the ratio of Proraso Green and water was, in my opinion and for my needs, pretty optimal. So let's rinse off the open comb first. It was pretty silent on the first pass, so I'm not surprised that I receive very minimal feedback on this round as well. Barely anything on the cheeks. Paired with a good blade. Really no issues. Very nice. Very smooth. So the open comb part is completed. I did have two pimples, but they were survivors of the open comb. And let's see the second pass with the DS-S9. The only thing which I don't like is they have this bridge in the lather channel. So sometimes if you have very thick lather or a little bit more whiskers to be cut, it tends to hold all the dirt, but let's see. The second pass. Maybe there is a little bit more comfort when using straight bar razor head on these subsequent passes, but yeah, the open comb side is definitely a little bit closer, but just for a pinch. I also have a lot more of audio feedback for this cleanup. So although after the first pass both razors seemed to be pretty equally efficient, somehow the DS-S9 is managing to scoop a little bit more whiskers. So I don't know, is it some slippage from the first pass, or maybe just the razor is a little bit more vocal. maybe with less blade curving on the top cap, it would be natural to have more sound while cutting. Who knows? But this is it. So let's quickly inspect. I have a few, I would say not weepers, because it's more like some hairs did not break the skin surface enough, so it was peeled off by the razor. Yeah, under the wet fingers I would say that 2 passes, yeah, a little bit of weird growing patterns, but definitely same efficiency. So safety bar side a little bit more loud, maybe a little bit more convenient for the second pass. Open comb side much more delicate, a little bit more direct feel, because the open combs are not flattening the skin that much. And not a real sensation with the Elliot, so they both performed pretty well. So if you had to ask me which one I would choose based on the results, I would say that maybe open comb with a less blade gap performed a little bit more smoother to the skin. It also provided, let's say, a direct feel of the shaving without necessarily digging into skin too much, because it is well torqued. Safety bar, it was working just fine, no issues with that. The only difference at which moment I would pick open comb versus the safety bar, if I had some large pimples or some skin bumps, maybe I would just, because of that reason, go with the safety bar. And I wouldn't go with too large of a blade gap. So 0.70, 0.84, I would say it is some sort of a Goldilocks size for most of you guys. If you want to shave up to 7 days of beard growth, I would say that you would be pretty satisfied with any of the choices. Finally, price-wise, both razors completely with the handles included and everything. For like 70-80 bucks you get 2 stainless steel razor options. So do I hate Chinese clones? Well, not that harsh, I must say. So they do have some cutting corners in production. They are not maybe so perfect, not coming in the very nice presentable gift boxes, but if you want something very cheap, very affordable, what can I say? Think about it. See you next time. Bye.